let's move on. We talked about the Knicks a little bit. We talked about how they might have been a disappointment early on in the season, but remember, that was 11 games into the season or 10 games into the season, and they weren't going on. They weren't 7-3 in their last 10. They have been impressive when they're not playing the Cavs. Looking at this
That's
team,
a good way to frame it.
Looking at this team, we've seen Carmelo Anthony and Phil Jackson kind of go back and forth. Phil Jackson calling Carmelo a ball hog. Carmelo now saying that the Knicks don't need Phil Jackson's negativity. With all of this being said, and with Carmelo, your star, and at least your veteran, going after the owner / GM / head of basketball operations, whatever his exact title is. Do you think that Carmelo Anthony and Phil Jackson and this team can come together and actually push towards something great?
Not a chance.
Absolutely.
They can. Well, and the reason why I say not a chance is, A, usually when teams have drama, they don't go anywhere. 2, I think that because of Phil Jackson, this could be almost seen as one of the most poorly run franchises in the NBA. And also, you talk about
Knicks are easily one of the poorest run franchises in the NBA.
Say for the last 20 years, yeah.
You talk about a guy, you were talking about D. Wade who can get injured. Look at Derrick Rose, who is a walking knee injury any second from now.
Derrick Rose going to get paid. He's not getting injured this year.
What do you want? It could happen to him.
But it won't, because he's on a contract year. He's going to get paid. He's going to deliver.
We'll see, Dave.
And who do you trust more? The backup for D. Wade or the backup in Brandon Jennings in the Knicks?
Jennings definitely has proven his worth.
I think there's definitely some more to rely on with the Knicks, at least in the bench area, because
which is just something you don't hear.
D. Rose goes down, you put in Brandon Jennings, and I think that's not that awful of a trade because flip off.
But then here's the thing. Then who's backing up Brandon Jennings? Because right now, it's a perfect system. Oh, when D. Rose comes out, you put Brandon Jennings in. But if Rose goes down, when Brandon Jennings needs to come out, who are you putting in there? You don't have a D. Rose-like player that you could put in there. A D. Rose contract year player. I got to say that.
But there's also, I'll ask you that question.
You put Sasha out there at point.
If D. Wade goes down, then who are you putting in there? If D. Wade goes down, who are you putting in there?
Denzel.
You trust Denzel in his first year to step up and produce exactly like Dwayne Wade?
He's not going to produce exactly like D. Wade.
Okay,
no one's even saying that.
Produce half of what he's doing?
Maybe put Dougie in there.
You're going to put Dougie at the 2?
No, you move
Jimmy over
to
Jimmy
2
and put Dougie at the 3.
Just wondering.
Yeah. I mean, again, you're still fucked, no matter which way you put it, because then the Bulls have even less of a bench. So I still think that this New York Knicks team is too talented to not compete. They have KP, who is just being ridiculous. He is having, again, his career on the upcline. He's going every right direction he needs to, on the court, off the court. Like, he is one of my favorite young stars in the NBA. And I think that Melo is understanding that, hey, I can't do this forever on my own. The more chances he gives Porzingis, the better this team is. And especially in the regular season, this is a chance to see, all right, where's this guy's top end at? How much can he help me when I'm having an off night? When I'm not nailing my shots, when I'm shooting 3 for 13 out there, can I dump to him and expect him to make up that slack? And so far what we've seen is yes, he can come through. My honest concern is Joakim Noah. Like, he is a big question mark for me because while he has energy still, it's in short bursts. He is somehow their leading rebounder, which confuses the shit out of me. And
I mean, 8 rebounds a game isn't anything to write home about.
And it's not, but it's still, that's disappointing that your leading rebounder is Joakim Noah. I mean, I'm sorry, that's what it is. And
plus, him and Porzingis aren't too far off. I mean,
he's only playing 21 minutes a game, though.
It's true. I mean, but Joakim Noah has had decent rebound numbers. But really, the question
he's a liability though on offense. So you're playing 4v5 out there. That's my point. Is look, this is a team where you lose Joe. Kyle Quinn, we've seen a lot out of. Big energy guy. I like him. I like him as a replacement. But it's still, I think that if they fail, it's because Joe goes down. Because he has been that glue guy for the Bulls for a decade, it felt like. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's what this locker room needs, is someone who can kind of bring the guys together, get them on the same page. And he knows he's not the superstar. He knows he's not a star anymore. He's just there to help out his friends and, try to win a championship, try to push for it. And I think that between Melo, Noah, Jennings, Rose, KP. They've got enough guys out there that they can go in a series against anybody.
Well, and the one thing that we've
Really?
Say it.
said...
I'm going to say it.
You think they can
By
go
the
up
end of
against
this
the
year.
Cavs?
By the end of this year.
Against the Cavs?
No.
Yep.
And
I think they can go 5 games with the Cavs.
And the reason why I say no is if you look at if you look at around the time that we talked about, oh, they're disappointing. That was about when they were like 3-6, 3-5. Ever since then, most of their wins, and yeah, they've had a 2-point win against a playoff team in the Pistons. They have had a 10-point win against the Hawks, who have been struggling. They have beaten the Charlotte Hornets in overtime. But you look at most of the teams they've beaten. Dallas, not a good basketball team.
Right.
Portland is wishy-washy at best this year.
Fair.
Minnesota twice. Are you fucking kidding me? The Kings.
You can only
and then
play
the
who's on your
Magic.
schedule.
And the Heat, pardon me. And right now, that's what I'm saying. Right now in the stretch is easy. Wait until they hit that hard patch.
You wanna go,
where
Sean?
They are going to get up there and then put the drama of Melo and Phil on top of that. Ain't going to work out in the end.
Dave, what the hell are you smoking?
Maybe
Did you
what Phil's
say
smoking.
Did you say that the Knicks can compete with the Cavs
I
in
believe
a
he did.
5-game series?
At the end of
he
this
did.
year, I think that they'll be in a place where they can do that.
In what way will they be able to keep up with the Cavs?
Don't know.
Is that lose
gonna
by
happen.
maybe they will lose by double digits? Maybe they'll only lose by 9 a game.
I'm saying maybe it'll be like a Pistons series of last year.
It
where
was
all really good,
126-94.
where it was all really good games, but they did lose.
I think that the Knicks, if they went up against the Cavs, they would get smoked, and K-Love would be flipping bottles 2 times on the bench by the fourth quarter.
We'll see. Maybe we have to set up a bet for this for
Maybe,
postseason bets.
because
LeBron only played 25 minutes from that game.
I understand.
I'll shave my head.
I think this
because
team can get better, though.
Carmelo
That's
Anthony
fair.
played. He only had 8 points,
Okay.
but played 24 minutes.
That's
Yeah,
fair.
everyone was pulled early.
Dave, that's fair. And if this was Melo on the Nuggets, then maybe. But this isn't the same Melo, right? This is not the same Carmelo Anthony. LeBron James has not slowed down since he was 26 years old. Carmelo has slowed down.
You're
if you're
absolutely
saying
right.
Melo versus LeBron, it's not even close anymore.
But Porzingis adds in an X factor because Kyrie is better than Derrick Rose. I will give you that.
By far.
But Derrick Rose plus Brennan Jennings gives you more depth at point guard.
None of
than-
those guys can play defense like Kyrie, though.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But
So you're going to have to rely a lot
but you
on
have
Porzingis.
depth. So the answer is you have depth at point guard. You have shooting guard is slight advantage, I want to say, to the Cavs. Slight. And then you start going, okay, LeBron wins, but Melo's not, I don't want to say close because you guys get angry, but Melo is a very, very, very good player and is still a superstar.
Not saying he's
so
not.
don't discount that.
I'm not saying he's not, but
you
saying
got Porzingis and you've got Noah, who any given night is better than K-Love and Tristan Thompson.
true, but K-Love does have decent perimeter defense.
And as does Porzingis.
I'm not trying. Porzingis is a better player than K-Love. I'm not trying to say that. But if it goes down low, I think K-Love can beat him at least rebounding wise because K-Love has been a monster, and I also take Tristan Thompson rebounding wise over Porzingis.
I mean,
Don't forget about RJ, man.
Look, Tristan-
Don't forget about RJ in the playoffs, baby.
Tristan Thompson did have that Dennis Rodman game where he went, like 1 point, 20 rebounds. Like, that was awesome to watch. But no, I'm sorry. I think that Porzingis brings defensive down low. He can match up pretty well with Kevin Love because they both can take the ball outside. I think that is like a mirror match, and I think that Porzingis can beat him.
I don't know how we got on this conversation, but just to wrap it up
Yeah,
and go
bring
back
it.
to the Knicks. I don't know if you forgot about LeBron James and how good LeBron James is.
I
LeBron
know.
James proved last year that
He can beat
the
teams one-handed.
He beat the Warriors
Yeah.
one-handed.
Yep.
So
I'm not saying they were going to win. I'm saying they can go in a series. They can make it interesting. And again, what I used as a reference, I used the Pistons series last year where they didn't win, but all the games were competitive.
I hope this actually
For some of
happens
it.
because we will make a bet where one of us is shaving our heads.
Ooh.
Anyways,
Can I make a statement
yes,
that's probably
yes.
not as bold
get
as
us back,
Dave's?
Get us back on the.
But it's going to get us back on just the
get
Knicks.
us back
Let's
on
hear
And
it.
it goes around Melo, and it doesn't have anything to do against Melo not being a superstar. But I sit here today, and I think that I look at this team, and I know you bring up KP,
Yep.
and you bring up Porzingis, and it's great. He's the future.
Yep.
But this team will never win a championship, will never go anywhere with Carmelo Anthony on this team.
Is that because him and Phil are gonna implode on each other and somebody's getting out of town?
This season, I think it's going that is going to come to a head this season. It's like when you shake up a bottle, and you just keep shaking it.
You toss it in Mentos first, and then you just.
Eventually, you're gonna have to let that bottle go, and it's just gonna go all over the room, or like a balloon. You're just holding it right now. Eventually, you're gonna let it go, and it's gonna go everywhere.
That's Joakim Noah's like the clothespin on that balloon
for right now, and then eventually it's gonna go.
He needs it for his hair.
Also, I mean, you look at Phil Jackson.
Yeah.
We've talked about the players enough, but we got to look at Phil. He is the problem here. And I just look at the coaches that he brought in. Derek Fisher, who was a waste of space.
It was his own man, yeah.
It was his own man. He didn't even want to bring in Hornacek. He wanted to let Kurt Rambis keep the job, which would have been a horrible mistake. I mean, Jeff Hornacek isn't the best hire, but it would have been better than a Kurt Rambis. I think that he's the worst. If there's anyone that needs to go, if we're choosing between Phil and Melo, it's got to be Phil. I'm looking at Phil Jackson right now like, dude, you're the crazy old man. I get it. You won some rings. But right now, it's just retire. And I know.
He doesn't have enough.
He's got enough on his hands.
He doesn't have enough hands.
But it's one of these things where it's like, know when to just walk away. Know when to just walk away.
Is weird, but I'm going to agree with you on this.
I'm also in agreement.
I think
in agreement.
Whoa, this is it's maybe a first.
Well, but the thing with
just know when to walk away.
What has Phil Jackson done for the New York Knicks?
$12 million is hard to walk away from. Like
go be with
reason.
Genie in Los Angeles. You'll win a ring there.
I'm gonna go philosophical on you. If you're doing it just for the money, it ain't worth it.
Yeah.
You got to love what you're doing. It don't look like Phil.
Phil's going to go back out to Montana, get some peyote, and just have himself a great old time. And we'll see him, in 10 years. He'll come on like ESPN and just be whacked out of his fucking mind.
He'd be a good analyst.
The thing that Phil Jackson needs is to get out of New York, and that's what all of New York needs. And I think New York also needs to get rid of James Dolan, but that's tough because he is the owner.
Exactly.
The problem with the Knicks, and the problems will always be with the Knicks as long as James Dolan is there, is the fact that James Dolan and Phil Jackson has the keys to the car, and that's like giving 90-year-olds GPS.
To be fair, he did draft Porzingis against everyone's will,
and that's what I was going to bring up was the fact that he is going to ride that, and that's why he will stay around because hey, I got Porzingis, but it's also like
and
hey,
Hernan
Phil,
Gomez could we'll see.
But it's also like hey, Phil, what the fuck else have you done for us? You have one great thing, it's perfect, great job. What the fuck else have you done? It's like Jerry Reinsdorf and the Bulls. Oh wow, you got Jordan. You got Jordan. Holy crap, this is fantastic. Jerry Reinsdorf is the greatest. Oh wait, no, he got lucky once. That's pretty much my eyes.
Do you think Derrick Rose? Do you think they pull in these free agents in the offseason without Phil Jackson though? I think Phil had an effect on bringing Derrick and Joe in.
I think New York has lost some of its luster. Because when this was in the 2000s,
the Garden is no longer a sacred place.
I think the Garden's losing its luster, and it's no fault of the Garden, but I think it's just more of the Knicks have lost their luster.
But we've seen. I mean, no offense to the Knicks of the '90s, they were tough, but you didn't win. You just didn't win. So the Knicks haven't won in way too long.
1972 was the last time they won a NBA Finals,
and Phil was on them, right?
Yeah, Phil was on the next time. I just think that the only way that the Knicks will win another NBA Finals is once LeBron's gone and then once Phil's gone. And I think that's the only way that's going to happen. I think that's when Porzingis is going to be the star of this team. I think that's when Carmelo is either an aging veteran on their bench at 38 or 37. I don't think Carmelo will play
longer than LeBron.
Yeah, well, I think LeBron. No, yeah, okay, fair.
Yeah, I don't think that. Yeah,
unless he's playing unless he's Vince Cartering it. And then I think that D Rose will clearly be gone by then, and Joakim Noah will probably be out of the league. I just think that the only way that they will turn it around is through the draft and through Porzingis, because the only way it's going to happen is
I think prime Porzingis is going to be a very unique guy in the NBA.
Or unless a guy like Paul George hits the free agency market and you're able to grab him, and Russ hits it as well, and you're able to grab him, and then you have Russ, PG-13 and Porzingis. But that's the only way I think it's going to happen. Ricky,
I'm going to throw one thing out.
Yeah.
One thing.
And this final thing, too.
This goes off to what Dave was saying about almost about the Cavs and the Knicks. Let's say it does happen. Let's say the Knicks get in 8th seed, play the Cavs in the first round.
Yep.
Knicks fans, I want you to sit there and I want you to answer this question. You can either answer it to yourself or in the comment section. Would you be happy with A, You make the playoffs, go to the 8th seed, get rocked by the Cavs.
Which would happen.
Get absolutely murdered
Yep.
out in 4. Like, it is like 150-40, that type of murdering each and every game. That's an exaggeration, but you know where I'm going. Or would you be happy with option 2? You trade a guy like Derrick Rose on a contract year when he's doing good before he gets injured. You get some draft picks. You don't make the playoffs, but you're able to set your franchise up into a situation to build something around KP, around young players, but you don't make the playoffs this year. You don't need to make the playoffs this year for it to be a success. You can make a move like trading Rose to set up your future.
Can I say one thing? Derrick Rose is overrated, and this team can make the playoffs without Derrick Rose. I think that's
I'm just
a thing
saying,
that I will say.
He's playing on a contract year, so use that to your advantage and maybe trade him for some pieces. Trade him for some pieces or some picks.
I'm just saying that you will see what happens down the road, but I'm just saying the Knicks can go to the playoffs without Derrick Rose. I don't think Derrick Rose is that much of an important figure.
9 of his last 11 games, he's had 15 or more points. He's not bad.
I'm not saying he's bad. But I'm saying they don't need him.
Yeah, I'll disagree because starting Brendan Jennings is you have no backup.
No, I agree, but I'm just saying if you trade D Rose, you're probably going to be able to bring someone in to fill
for
in
the
on
future,
bench.
maybe.
Yeah, but I'm just saying if you're able to fill a backup position point guard wise,
If Phil's able to fill.
Exactly. I think this team can make it without Derrick Rose. If you have Porzingis and you have Carmelo, I think that you can make the playoffs without D Rose. And the final thoughts here on the Knicks. I think that the only way that they will win an NBA championship is when Phil Jackson's gone and LeBron's out of the league. And I think that's going to be the only way it happens. But I think that Porzingis is a top player in the NBA in the future, without a doubt. Him and Cat are going to be having some fantastic battles. We already saw one recently where Cat put up like 54 and Porzingis put up like 27. Final thoughts on the Knicks, Ricky?
I just think that they are, right now you've hit a soft spot in the schedule, so you're getting some wins. Let's see what happens when you actually play actual playoff opponents
As long
and then
as
fall
you
back down.
But as long as you're beating the ones that you can win, like your Bulls aren't, then you're getting to the playoffs.
But we're beating the Bulls are different. We beat the teams that we shouldn't beat and then lose to the teams that we should beat, so we're in the same situation.
Who's a better team though? If you beat good opponents but lose to bad opponents and finish 42-42 or 41-41, and the Knicks beat bad opponents and lose to good opponents and they're 41-41, you still make the playoffs. You still have the same record.
Who beat the Cavs?
You still have the same record. I'm not saying you beat the Cavs. Anyways,
that's all I have to hang my hat on.
Dave, final thoughts.
I think the potential is there for New York to go to the playoffs. I sadly agree with you, though, that this team is not going to win a championship while Phil and Carmelo are there. I mean, it's back to just how dominant one player can be in the league. And, there was always, since 1999, every finals has included Tim Duncan, Kobe, or Dwayne Wade. And it's just and then LeBron James. And it's outrageous to think that is 4 guys who have been in for 17 years. And you think that how many great talents do we see never win that ring? I mean, there's a ton of those guys who
Malone, Stockton,
are so good,
Ewing,
but they're not good enough to get there on their own. And I think that Carmelo is one of them. I don't think he's going to be able to get this team to the championship. I don't think he's going to win a ring. And I don't think Phil Jackson understands how to own a team and not run a team as if he were a coach. He doesn't understand that separation that needs to take place. So I think he leaves. Jeff, I say you give him another couple of years as a coach and see how things pan out, because they've got potential. Like Ricky said, you need to rebuild through the draft.
Yep. I think that, sorry, my dad texted me about Chris Sale, and I'm pissed off about it. Finishing on the Knicks, I know that Jason Camacho will comment on the Knicks because he was pissed off that we said the Knicks have been a disappointment. They had a bad record, but things are turning around. I think they'll be able to be a playoff team. I think that ultimately this team will be able to be a playoff team. Ricky, we'll see. Again, it's only 22 games in the season. We'll see what happens.
Saying, not a chance.
Anyway, there's definitely
not
a chance.
Not a chance.
Anyway,
you just want to say that.
Not a chance.
Anyways,
That's all I want to say.
It's obnoxious. We heard so much. Anyways,